So with that, we are going to recognize Renee Chamberlain, Shelley Patterson, Sonia Thorburn, Carolyn Reynolds, Jill Dugdale from the Water Billing Department, Will Patience, Jeff Kellogg, Ron Prince from the Meter Department, Aaron Pearson from the Administrative Assistants of the Water Department, and Jack Brooks. And we're going to have a lunch next week for all of these individuals, so they should be recognized for their dedication.
Good job. Thank you. Thank you. Go ahead.
As we get into the minutes, you will notice we normally approve 2 sets of minutes, and this month we're approving 3 sets of minutes. We're actually going to move the calendar up a little bit, and next month we'll only have to approve 2, but by doing so, what we will approve next month is the regular meeting, which is the one that we're at, and the work session. So we're always going to try and approve the work session that occurred 1 week ago. It'll be more relevant to what is going on in this meeting, and Tammy suggested that we make that change to improve the quality of the information for the board, so we're going to make that change. The agenda, there's a slight error on it. The March 21st meeting of the Board of Directors was the work session meeting. It was not the regular meeting. I do apologize for that. One other adjustment is on item 6, the Rules and Regulations Committee minutes. Those minutes are unapproved. The Rules and Regulations Committee has not met to approve those, but we felt that it was important to get them into the board packet to have the information at their next meeting. They will vote to approve those minutes.
Okay. With that being said, February 21st board work session. I'd like a motion to accept the minutes. Jim?
So moved.
A second, please.
Second.
Discussion. Any corrections or additions? If not, all those in favor? Thank you. February 28th, the Board of Directors regular meeting. Can I have a motion to approve that one? David, do we have a second? Jerry, thank you. Discussion. If not, can I ask for approval for that? All those in favor? Thank you. Okay, last week's March 21st board meeting. It's a work session. Instead of the regular board meeting, it was work session. Can I have a motion to approve those? Mike? Second. David, thank you. Any discussion on those? If not, all those in favor of approving those? Thank you. Let's move into the joint advisories. I don't see anyone from Lakes, do I? I don't think I did.
I'm going to briefly cover Lakes. One of the main things that we covered was the routing of the parking lot at Stony Kirk, some of the improvements that we're going to be making to that area. It'll still be a gravel area, but we're going to add some tire stops for parking, because right now the parking in that area is a little haphazard, and we're trying to add some uniformity to it. We're also going to install a large sign that will allow people to understand how they should flow in and flow out of that parking area. So that's one of the main things that was covered. Also, Lake Windsor is steadily coming up. As of yesterday, we were still -3 feet, so we're about halfway to full pool. And if we get some rain, we might be able to get that up to full pool pretty soon. So I think those were the main things that were covered during the Lakes Committee meeting.
Okay, thank you. Next up is recreation. Gary. Did you get it? What's the secret?
Yeah, what's the secret on this thing? Seems like it now.
I think it's on.
Take this.
No, very good.
There we go. All right. Recreation Committee met on March 11th last, and regarding the amenity reports, everything is pretty much in good shape. We have a couple of things to note. Branchwood's been busy, And I would say with the warmer weather, it's been getting busier as well. From the gun range perspective, Trap 4 is still under construction. We'd like to see it done by April 14th, but the hard date for completion is May 1st. There are some groups that have already signed up to be able to go ahead and have some shoots at that time. Our Reardon Hall exercise room got a new coat of paint. People are pretty excited about that. There's been a lot of compliments that we've gotten. Yeah, good, good. Blowing Springs was in the news, of course, with the Arboretum dedication and then the planting of the trees as well. From a new business perspective, we had a meet and greet on March 9th. It was well attended once again, and in the next 2 months we'll have another one as well, and it was held here. And the last thing is the Archery Subcommittee update. We made a subcommittee to look at that because it was such a big opportunity for us, as well as there was a lot of people who wanted to see that moved forward somehow. So on March 16th, we had 22 attendees that met at the Arkmo property. We took a look, we surveyed the site, figured out a feasibility if we could use that or not, and I will tell you that the findings and any recommendations will be covered at the next Recreation Committee meeting, and that will be April 8th at 4 o'clock. So if anybody has any questions or wants to come at that time, please do, and we would welcome anyone who wants to come and attend. We have plenty of seats back here. Thank you. I'm really going to wait, and I've got a couple people on the subcommittee that have worked really hard on this. Chris Stockman and Debbie Sorensen, and they've been actively involved and in charge of this for the last 90 days. So I'm going to let them go ahead and do that for us, okay? Thank you.
And once it's brought to the rec committee, they will make a decision whether to bring it to the board or not?
Yes.
Okay,
If we don't have enough information, we'll gather a bit more as well.
okay, thank you
Okay,
very much,
thank
appreciate
you.
that. Golf, Jason.
Big fits. March 13th golf meeting. Good news is member green fees and cart fees are up $14,384 over last year. Guest revenue's up $5,700, and merchandise sales are up a little over $12,000 from last year. Rounds are also up 462 over last year, so everybody's getting out and playing golf, and today was a good day to do it. I had to work. Estimated about 350 people attended the Golf Expo held earlier this month to talk about the groups in Bella Vista. And as I mentioned last board meeting, we talked about a POA tournament sponsorship committee, and we voted that in. There are 3 members from our committee that are serving on that subcommittee, and Mr. Phil Spencer is going to chair that subcommittee. Golf ops and maintenance will no longer publish cart information for the next day of play due to change in overnight weather. We've had a few opportunities with that. So what they're going to do is first thing in the morning when each course superintendent does their today's play, they're going to put 90-degree carts on path, etc. We ended the meeting this month with a great presentation of a draft of the Bella Vista Master Plan. So looking forward to that going to fruition. And our next meeting is April 10th.
Do you want to talk a little bit about Golf Fest?
Golf Fest. Yes, Golf Fest is coming up, and help me with the date, Ruth.
13th,
The 13th.
Saturday the 13th.
Yes, Saturday the 13th. There's going to be representatives from most of the major club manufacturers, ball manufacturers. I'm sure FootJoy will be there, some shoes. Doing seminars, you can go get your club fittings, food, all that good stuff. So come out Saturday, 2 Saturdays from now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully the weather's better than last year.
It's got to be better this year than it was last year.
Absolutely.
It has to be.
And the strategic committee did not meet this month, so thank you.
Okay.
Jason, quick question.
Yes, sir.
What time can we expect the updates each day today's play to be on the website?
It's either 6 a.m. or 7 a.m., David. I'm not sure which, but it's when they do their, each super gets on and does their course
Try to
conditions. I
6.
think it's 6 or 7 in the morning.
Okay, thank you.
It'll be before 7.
Yeah.
Community involvement. Dylan.
The Community Involvement Committee met on March 7th at 6 p.m. right here in the Country Club boardroom.
So with
We discussed the Tailgating Fireflies event that will be held on June 15th of this year. And then we also discussed recruiting new members for the committee. Right now, we have 7 members, and we possibly get to 9. So that would be an application process, but we'll be discussing that further next Thursday, our next meeting, which is April 4th of 2019. We mainly discussed the Tailgating of Fireflies event when it comes to volunteers, how we're going to fund the event, which would we would have in the budget for that, and how the event would run and the advertising of the event. And those are the 2 things that we discussed 3 weeks ago.
Thank you.
Do you guys have a budget, any budget set for it?
No, not right now. I need to further discuss that with Tom or Joan.
As needed. As needed. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Rules and Regs Committee. Jim?
Yeah, I would like to report, since in item 11 below, we talk about policy changes that are underway, but we did have a spirited meeting 2 days ago, and there are some preliminary minutes attached in our documents, but I would like to just quickly report some of the discussion in our preliminary meeting that was 2 days ago. There was a discussion of changing policy 8.03 regarding septic system failures being allowed on common property, and we agreed to recommend no change to the board at that meeting. Secondly, board member required attendance at meetings. We directed the staff to write proposed changes to the bylaws and articles regarding encouraging board members to attend more of the important meetings that the POA has during a 6-month or a 12-month period. Item 3, regarding consider possible revisions to our guest policy. The staff had already done some heavy work on submitting a proposed simplification of our guest card policies, and we had a lengthy discussion, and we didn't develop a resolve in that, and we hopefully will discuss that in April's meetings of the committee again, or the board. And then finally, we had the lengthy discussion of the development of a board vision and mission policy, and I might mention that a minute. We had a good discussion of that, and we're struggling to develop a mission and vision for this board that we could recommend as a Rules and Regulations Committee to the board. But I think some of the aftermath of the meeting, we got good input, especially from Jerry, and during the meeting from Mary, and Pat had some good concepts that he submitted afterwards, and even one of our members, Steve McKee, had some ideas that he presented. So I think perhaps we can start developing the difficult process of developing a board mission and vision statement that has been alluded to in previous documents but not really formalized. So I was struggling at the end of the meeting, but now after additional input from people, I'm kind of optimistic that we can get to that point, and I think it's very important. So
Thank
that's
you.
my report.
Any questions? If not, let's go to the financial report. Dwayne?
All righty. This will be the income statements through February 2019, year-to-date, 2 months running, starting with the POA. Looking at the gross profit variance, the budget, it's 207 unfavorable, 207,000. Golf is 202 of that, like we've seen in January, annuals and weather-related. Rebates are down 42 from what we had budgeted. Carroll Electric did get a rebate to us, but it was a little less than what we had budgeted just due to the fact what they agreed to give to their members. Past due collections were down slightly, 28,000. Legal was down about 22,000 in the balance in accounting. Cell tower rent, 42,000 better than what we had budgeted. The budgeted gain from the cell tower equipment sales agreement between two outside entities. The POA does not own the equipment. However, we lease the rights for them to be used on POA property. And that was $42,000 more than what we had originally thought it was going to be. Food and beverage accounts for $19,000 better, mainly due to Bella Vista Bar and Grill. Advertising revenue brings in about $19,000, also better than budget. Comparison to prior year, the cell tower rent, we've got $1,070,000, and that's the 2019 gain from the cell tower equipment. There was nothing like that in the prior year, so that was a gain. Food and beverage, $60,000. Country Club opened in late March 2018. Rebates, $53,000 is what we actually got from Carroll Electric. Golf was down 118 on that comparison. Past due collections down 50. Legal was 43 of that, balance accounting. And Stump Dump was 25. Looking at the operating expenses for the same Bella Vista POA, 2 months running, $280,000 better than what we had budgeted. Labor accounted $82,000 of that. Positive variances all across the divisions. Equipment and tools, $55,000. Savings on small equipment purchases year to date. Maintenance and repairs, $46,000 better. Grounds maintenance. Membership selections, $25,000. Just timing of the board election expenses. It was budgeted, but it didn't happen. General manager contingency, $20,000. Postage, $19,000. These are timing issues. Training, timing, $13,000. And other miscellaneous positives across the divisions. And the negative was $34,000 on legal and consulting services relating to the Stump Dump. Looking at the operating expenses prior year, it was even. It's $1,000 difference. Looking at the EBITDA, positive 73, and part of that was due to the food and beverage division. Year to date, we're at budget. In prior year, we're $31,479 better than budget, than prior year. Excuse me. No, we're budget better than budget.
Better than prior year.
Better than prior year. Yeah, prior year. I'm sorry, it's been a long day. Here's something that everybody would like to know. Effective 2/28/19, the POA has repaid the internal water loan, balance zero. What we borrowed from the water is paid back. Going to the water utility statement, gross profit is almost budget, -8. Water usage is $4,000 of that negative, and investments are another $4. Prior year, $23,000 better. Usage is up $3,000. Investments are $20,000. This time last year, compared. Operating expenses are at budget across expense lines, and prior year is up $61,000. Outside contracts are $21,000 of that. That's the new meters that we were just talking about. The cellular fees, it's a pass-through cost, and that's in the outside contracts. Maintenance and repairs, $14,000 due to system repairs. Supplies, $14,000. Meter install materials, more people. Employee benefits, $8,000. Health insurance. And EBITDA for the water is a -12. That concludes my report. Big any questions?
Questions for Dwayne?
Just a comment, Dwayne. Pretty good start for food and beverage as far as revenue.
It is, yeah. And we've been tracking that real closely. We
About
want to bring that to attention.
20,000 ahead of revenue budget anyway, that part of it.
Yep. That's good. Good news.
Other questions? If not, thank you. Let's move on. Last month's open forum, we understand that all questions were answered at the time, and so we'll move into this month's open forum. Remember that you have 3 minutes to speak, and if you will address yourself with your name and your address, if we prefer. And I guess I have a list that we need to go by. Okay, let's get started. Wally, first up.
Wally Sheldon, 1 Blado Lane. I would like to remind the board and PCO of the 3 basic fiduciary duties they have. 1, the duty of care. POA board members must also act in a prudent and reasonable manner, basically using sound business judgment and avoiding arbitrary and capricious actions. They have a duty of loyalty. Number 2, requires the POA board members to act fairly, in good faith, in the interests of and for the benefit of the POA as a whole. And the third duty is to act within the scope of authority, and of course that's self-explanatory. In reviewing the unaudited financial statements for 2017 and 2018, I noted that the net loss last year for the POA was $655,478, and that the 2018 loss shows $2,633,444. My question to the board and the CCO is, can an increase of almost $2 million be considered acting prudently and reasonably? Golf, a major expense for the POA, shows a loss of $2,867,749 for 2017 and a loss of $2,933,766 for 2018. Again, I question the board and the CCO, is an operation that loses almost $3 million a year considered acting prudently and reasonably? I have reviewed the report, which was compiled by an independent expert hired by the POA, showing the expected losses with rounds played at 125,000, 150,000, and 175,000 rounds. And the report never comes close to a $3 million loss. The food and beverage division is rather unique. This division is made up of 3 locations: Lake Point, BV Grill, and the Highlands Course Food. The food for Scottsdale and Metfield are buried in the golf figures. Once again, comparing 2017 and 2018, one must look at the figures very closely, since the CCO and treasurer evidently took it upon themselves to adjust the results. 2017 shows a loss of $1,005,208, and the reported 2018 figure shows a loss of $566,217. By adding back the depreciation, the 2018 figure is $1,044,462.
Can you wrap
an
this up?
increase of almost $50,000.
Can you wrap this up, Wally? You're past your 3 minutes.
Okay. Someone once said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. I
Thank you.
rest my case.
Thank you. Mr. Stock.
Mr. or Mrs.?
Well, is it Roger? Robert?
Robert, my name is, I guess I would be Mr. Robert Stock.
Okay.
I live at 23 Hinckley Circle. I've lived here since '95. I'm here to address the Board of Directors of the Property Owners Association, not the Renters Association of Bella Vista, not the Stump Dump Association of Bella Vista, not let's make this a Vacation Destination Association of Bella Vista. The thing of it is, in order to be, this is the Property Board of Property Owners Association. In order to be a property owner, you have to be a member. And when you're a member, you have to pay an assessment. And that assessment, if you live in the village, is $288. Or if you don't live in the village, or you just, for an unimproved lot, $204. The thing of it is, what you have now is you've opened it up to everybody and his brother can come. Anybody can come and play golf. Anybody can go to the restaurant. Anybody can go to anywhere they want to. It used to, in 201, we had a 2-tiered system. It was either $15 or $17 or $24. And the reason with the 24 was because you live in the village and you're using it. But the thing of it is, people come here now they have a value card. They can pay $195, comes out to about $35. When they come and play golf here, they're not paying their fair share. For me to play golf, I have to have my POA dues up to date. Last year was $288. I got to buy a card. Now it's $35 or $39. I'm up to $300 and some dollars. I'm not $328, $29. then I can go pay $41 to play golf. But people that come here, even though it's subsidized over $2 million, I have to pay $360-some to play golf the first time out of the box. But people come here, they can just come and go as they please. This is the Property Owners Association. You're supposed to represent the property owners. You're representing everybody but the property owners. Nowhere did anybody on the board, when you were running for this position, you never said, I'm going to get on the board of directors so I can give money from the property owners to people that aren't property owners. That's crazy. You're supposed to, we're not asking you to take care of Northwest Arkansas. We're not looking for people to come here and use the facilities and not pay their fair share. If they want to come and go in the clubhouse or come over here and get a hamburger, you got to be a POA member, property owner. You got to have at least 1 month dues. From that, you got to buy a POA card. And if you don't have a POA card, you're not allowed to go to Branchwood. You're not supposed to go to the tennis center. You're not supposed to go on the trails. This is a closed community. We're not a government agency. That belongs to Cooper Communities. That belongs to the mayor. All we ask you to do is to apply recreational services and facilities to the membership, because the membership is paying for it. But that's not the way it is now. Anybody can come here. We built Lake Point. We want people from Bentonville. We don't want those people. They got to be a POA member, and you're not doing that, Ruth. You're not doing the right thing by letting these people come here that are not property owners.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nancy Stock?
Yes, I'm the wife. I live at 23 Hinckley also. What I wondered is why, when we have an increase, we can't have like a referendum. Bentonville just did it with the courthouse. If you want to have a raise, this is exactly what it's for. If you don't want it, you can vote against it. Other cities have done it. It was a while ago that Gravitt did it for the school. It was, if you want a raise, this is what it is exactly for. When we give a raise, it's like carte blanche. It will go for anything and anything. So I think we need to address that. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Sandy Fosdick.
Hello, Sandy Fosdick, 37 Stonehaven. I'm continuing to hear complaints from the East Siders about the bike trails. I'm now hearing complaints from the West Side about the bike trails. So we decided to check to see what the plans were for the Highlands, which is where we live. And I had just gotten the email that you sent, Tom, that apparently something has changed in possibly the plans for the bike trails in the Highlands.
Your concern was about the trails using the parking lots at some of the ramp areas and some of the parks, and that's not the case. If you look at what has been taking place on the east side and the central area, the trailheads, one of the trailheads on the east side is at a water tower. Another one is an area that the city got from Cooper. Another one is the upper unused parking lot, the trailer parking lot at Metfield. Similar plans.
So just to clarify, our boat ramp parks are not going to be made public.
No.
Okay. Because we paid twice as much to buy a house on the lake. And I just paid $780 to license our boats. And I agree with these other people, what they're saying. We're sick and tired of everything becoming public. Why should we pay an assessment? I spent 8 hours calling the last time we had an assessment increase when the ballots went out. I spent 8 hours of my free time calling to try to get people to approve the assessment. I'm for an assessment increase, but I am not for the public. I've just had it. I've had it. So and then in your email too, Tom, you indicated that Aaron indicated that the trails have changed in the Highlands of where they're going to place them.
keep in mind that the trails, the original plan that was developed at this point many years ago, it's going to flex and it's going to be adjusted as it goes along. But I think what's most important when you talk about the West Side trails, we're years away from even considering those. And what I would contemplate would happen is if you were to fast forward 5 years from now and we're contemplating that, what would end up happening is we would have public input meetings similar to what occurred, and I think you were in attendance at that public input meeting, to receive input and see what the city feels about.
So now that we have email, we will receive an email telling us when these meetings are.
If you,
Because we didn't in the past, so that's that's what people are saying, that there were meetings, but no one knew they occurred.
well, I can tell you this, is that we send out, we have almost 30,000 email addresses in our system.
Yeah,
And-
I know we have it now. I'm just verifying that, yes, we'll have
Hold
plenty
on.
of notice that there'll be these meetings, and
Let
you'll
me-
listen to the membership.
Let me finish my point, please. When we send out emails, 40% of the emails are opened, but 60% are not. So if a property owner does not open an email and is not aware of a meeting or an event, there's not a lot I can do.
Okay, well, fair enough. That's fair. Okay, well, I just wanted to make sure that,
Can I ask you a question?
sure.
Would you prefer Bella Vista not be a membership community?
No. We moved here because we wanted to be in a private community. We had friends almost lost their child on a public lake because of idiots that are irresponsible. And so we want a private lake where members know each other, they take care of each other. It's much safer. Think about how many people die on Beaver Lake. Yes. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Sure.
When you bought here, who was it who told you that Bella Vista was private?
My husband's family purchased property here when Bella Vista was first developed, and I started dating him in 1975, and so I've been vacationing here since then. It always has been. It always has been. You had to have a suit and tie to come to the clubhouse, and you had to show your card.
Okay, thank you. Steve McKee, you're up next. Steve McKee. Okay, if we could have quiet, please, so Steve has the floor.
Steve McKee, 3 Tyree Place. I'm a candidate for the Board of Directors coming up. Interesting conversations. I was at that meeting. Thank you for mentioning that you liked the input from me. Appreciate that. I just don't know exactly where to start here. Back in 2013, which I think I read at that meeting a couple days ago, in that 2013 amenity study, basically it says that the POA owns the common property and operates the amenities offered to members and their guests. In 2013, there's no concept of the public. And then in 2015, if you read that master trail greenway plan that apparently the city and the POA both agreed to, if you read through there, the wording is all about tourist destination and all sorts of visitors and opening up Lake Ann boat ramp to the public. The meeting on Monday about the new proposed policy about having guest passes or no guest passes, it specifically says that all the parks, playground equipment, Tanyard, Branchwood, Metfield, Granton, Tyree. I think Tyree is a boat launch ramp, isn't it? Isn't that a boat launch park?
Yes.
Sorry. So I'm not sure what the actual plan is then, because apparently there's a little bit of...
That was suggested and not voted on, to my understanding. Is that correct, Jim?
Right.
So that was not voted on, Steve?
Right, no, I understand that, but
Okay.
I mean, it's proposed. I guess I'm probably running out of my 3 minutes. I would suggest, I would hope that as the community is voicing its opinion, and, you know, I haven't talked to anybody who says, yeah, let's get rid of all the privacy, get rid of the paying assessments, make the place open to the public, come one, come all. I haven't talked to a single person who even believes that that's possible. So as these things get discussed, I would hope and urge that more community input is taken, because what was going on in 2013 evidently changed in 15, and now here we are in 19, and it would really help to sit down and talk some more about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Joy Sawyer.
Well, first, since this is a public forum, I would like to clarify the paper where under the caption it says she believes that there should be votes. That was my table that believed that the not having the vote is dividing the community. And as you just heard Steve and you've heard all these people talking about, these trails are dividing our community. And the whole idea is that they're bringing people together. But they're not. They're bringing people here with us, but that's not bringing our community together. So I have one question, but I want to say again that the city has one job, and they should be for the trails. The city council, if you want to go head on into that, you should be working for the city. They should want more tax money here. They should want restaurants. They should want more business. That's what a city does. You are not the city council. I didn't vote for anybody sitting at this table, and I won't. Because you act as a city council. You are not acting for your membership that you ran, and I wasn't here, but I assume that you said you wanted to represent the membership when you ran. And you don't. And if you do, you're not putting anything out there that shows us that there are people who want all of our stuff to become public. I've now seen a map where all of our private owned parks that we pay to maintain are now marked as public parks because there's a trail that goes by them or through them in some cases. That is not what your community has asked for. So having said all of that, I have a question. If I wanted to build an in-law cottage or something like that on the lot that is next to my house, would I have to improve that lot by putting a water meter on it?
A resident? A residence?
Well,
Yeah.
it would be like a guest house.
Yes.
Absolutely. You could do that on your own lot, because in the ACC and the city ordinances, with proper approval through those documents, you can actually put a guest house on your lot, let alone the next door lot, whether
Okay.
it's your in-law but it has to be a certain size. It has to be approvable by the ACC and the city.
Okay.
Of course.
But do I have to put a water meter on that lot?
If somebody's going to live on that lot, you have to have a water meter.
If it's on an adjacent lot, yes.
Okay. But what if it's not going to be lived in? It's just a guest cottage that somebody might stay in when they come to visit.
Yes.
Okay, I'm asking that question because we have 8 cottages sitting next door to the Mormon church, and the best I can figure out, there's 1 water meter there. I got out, I walked around, I looked around.
That's possible because Cooper Communities platted that as a 1 central meter development, and they did not sell any of those units to individuals. They kept them for their purposes, just like they have done at Cunningham and at Sugar Creek and at Town Center. So
Did he feel
those did not necessarily become separate metered facilities because they're strictly renting them, like condominium or like apartments.
Okay, but I couldn't have a rental on another lot and have people staying there off and on and use my same one. I'm just asking because it seems like the rules don't apply to everybody.
And the difference is these are not different platted cabins or housing units. They're one entity like a motel or a apartment. So that's the difference. It's totally different than a platted lot situation.
Okay, it just seems like that doesn't.
It's not germane.
Okay, that just didn't seem right to me, but okay, thank you.
Thank you. That's what I have for a list. Is there anybody else that has chosen to speak tonight?
Just, can I make a comment, Ruth?
Please.
I regret making a comment, but I'd like to respond a little bit. We've wrestled with this for the last 4 decades on members, guests, and public, and most of us have got here because we were guests and we were looking to move somewhere. And we got here as guests at that time, mostly of the developer, and now a lot of us are heirs of those people. And a lot of communities that are totally restricted to members and their guests are smaller enclaves, a golf course community, a lake community, maybe 400 or 500 members, and gated in some cases. And people don't realize we have 70-some thousand members of Bella Vista. It's not an exclusive country club. So we've wrestled with this for 40 years. We're not gated. We're 77,000 members, husband, wife, dependent children. I mean, we're not very exclusive is my whole point.
But that's by choice, right? I mean, that's not because you don't. Why have a POA if we're not going to have member exclusive events?
Okay, we're getting off track here, folks. We're getting off track. Yes?
What is the point of a POA? What is the point?
And the reason...
We're going to move on at this time.
Yeah, and the reason I brought that up is to explain the difficulty that we all have in defining member, guests, and other people in trying to promote the growth of the community. That's all, and hopefully you'll attend more meetings.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you. We're moving on. We're moving on without comment. We have a proposal for the rules and regs. We have several proposals. Doug, you want to take those?
If you want to move forward to page 79 of your board packet, this is the proposed approval of Tammy Lloyd to serve as the new corporate secretary.
I make a motion that we appoint Tammy Lloyd as the POA's corporate secretary.
Any discussion? If not, all those in favor? Okay, it's unanimous. Tammy, you're our corporate secretary. Okay, moving on. Motions, please, Doug.
So these are second readings of various policies that we had. Policy 1.03.2. This is the change to the Elections Committee. This was approved by the Rules and Regs Committee. No changes from the previous reading, so I would entertain a motion to approve that on a second reading.
We have a motion.
So moved.
Second? Discussion. This is the second reading. Discussion? No new discussion. Okay, may I ask for a vote?
All in favor?
Okay.
The second one is policy 6.02, official POA publication and release of information. This one likewise was unchanged. It's a second reading for this policy, approved by the Rules and Regs Committee and read and approved at last month's meeting. So I would entertain a motion to approve policy 6.02.
David, second.
I second.
Bruce, any further discussion on that one? If not, call for a vote.
All in favor? Any opposed? The third policy is policy 7.04, the investment policy. This one was approved at last month's meeting on a first reading, and it was approved as amended. Mary suggested a change to the language specifying when the investment policy report would be made, and asked that it be made at the same time that the annual audited statement is presented. So I made that change, and so due to the fact that it was passed as amended, we will move forward with a second reading on this policy. So I will entertain a motion to approve policy 7.04 as amended by...
So move.
Second. Jerry?
Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you.
Thank you. We have a new procedure tonight with a committee appointment.
Correct. On page 91 of your board packet, you'll see that we're requesting the approval of 2 committee members. So this is the first time that we have brought forth the amended change to policy 1.04. The new policy that was approved by the board, it went through both readings, is that the appointments will be voted upon by the committee and then brought forth to the board for the board to approve or potentially even reject. And so this is the first time we've had to do this change, so I just wanted to bring that to your attention. That's a little bit different, but we are at that time of the year when board member committee seats are appointed and renewed and so forth. So in the coming months, you'll see quite a number of these coming forward.
And I might add that these 2 are carryovers.
These are both renewals. They've already served at least 3 years on their term.
Okay. And the board voted to have them retained.
Do we need to vote on that? I mean, it's already part of our documents, isn't it?
But we need to approve it.
Approve it, okay.
So I'm asking for a motion to approve these 2 appointments. Jerry? Matt Champagne and Kelly Austin. Excuse me.
Lakes
Committee. Jerry's.
I make the motion to approve the appointment of Matt Champagne and Kelly Austin for a second term on the Lakes Committee.
We have a second, David. Any discussion? If not, we call for a vote.
All in favor?
Okay, thank you. They've been very supportive members of the Lake Committee all along, so.
On page 93 of your board packet, you'll see that we're requesting a change in scope and funding for the gun range capital project. The project, if you recall, well, you may not recall, but you may not be aware of this, but several years ago we brought out a lead reclamation company that collected the lead at that site. The POA was given $43,000 by this company, and at that time the POA had made the commitment to the Highland gun range, the customers out there, that all those funds would be used at that location. A project was approved for 2019. We're requesting that we make some adjustments to this, namely that the original plan did not include handicap accessibility, and so we're requesting that we change the funding to $48,000. Per board policy, it requires a revote by the board.
Do we have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the change in scope to include handicap accessibility for the expansion at Highland Gun Range Capital Project number 7038, and to increase the funding to $48,000.
Okay, second.
Second.
Do we have discussion? This is not additional money. It is some additional money, but the original is in there, so. Any discussion? Okay, call for a vote.
All in favor? Any opposed?
The next, not in your board packet, is a walk-in memo. The results of the flash sale. The sale was actually concluded today. So a couple different things. When we first started, the POA had 500 lots. Doug and his team went through and categorized those lots based upon how buildable they are. Now, even a relatively small lot can be built depending upon how much money you want to put into it. But from a reasonable perspective, we go through and we determine which ones we feel are buildable and which ones we would consider our membership lots. We determined that where there was 348 membership lots. When we started the sale, I thought we could sell maybe 30. By 9 o'clock on Monday morning when the sale opened, within the first hour, we had sold almost 200 lots, and by 10 a.m. this morning, we had sold all 348. So we've brought in just shy of $70,000 in revenue. Starting in 2020, we will bring in just shy of $67,000 in increased assessment income, and we will no longer have to pay $10,500 in property taxes. So we've gone from a situation where we were getting nothing from these lots and paying $10,500 per year on property taxes to getting them to contribute quite a bit. We're going to actively market towards this group. We have all their email addresses. We're going to try and sell annual fitness memberships, golf memberships, tennis memberships, and so forth. Now, some people have asked how we're doing the actual back of the house accounting. And so of the 200 that is brought in, 128 of it will be coded to assessments, and the remainder will be coded to lot sales revenue. Now, I want to kind of give you a little bit of a warning, and I failed to include this in the memo, but on some of these lots, on actually many of these lots, the book value is more than $72. So it is possible when we're all done with this, the book value revenue, we could actually have a loss. Okay? Because if a property, the book value of the property is $300 and we sold it for $72 effectively, then we're going to take a loss. But book value is not cash. And $70,000 in cash is a lot better than zero. You can't take book value to the bank. So I think that's important to note that. Based upon the volume, clearly we were I thought we would sell 30. We ended up selling 348. So we're going to be knee-deep in paperwork for a while. There was a question that came up, are these lots going to be able to vote in the upcoming election? The answer is no. And not even one of them will be eligible to vote. The cutoff date is March 31st for the vote. This paperwork will not be completed in time for that. We have approximately 170 remaining lots, and these are the ones that we've categorized as being buildable. They're still available for sale. Doug and his team sell approximately 220 last year and the year before, and the average was about 1,250 per lot, in the neighborhood of that. So those are still available. Now, we have been able to do a little bit of research. It's still very early, but we looked at where these buyers reside, and it looks like 70% of them live outside of Bella Vista, but within 40 miles, so you're going all the way down to Fayetteville, and even up north. 19% live in Bella Vista. Some of those are neighboring lots. and then 11% live outside of the 40-mile radius. And you can see some very interesting states, California, Florida, Hawaii, Oklahoma, Texas, Virginia. So the marketing was effective in getting the word out. So I'd like to congratulate Doug and his team for a successful effort. Hindsight being 2020, should we have charged a little bit more? Probably, but you know, you can't roll back time. And the good news is we took these assets that were bringing us nothing, and we turned it into $70,000. And the gift that keeps on giving, which is the assessments going forward.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Good job.
Yeah, I've got to totally congratulate staff, and when the prediction was 30 lots and we get over 300, and the real basis of it is now we're getting $30,000 to $40,000 more a year of paying assessments, and the book loss to me was well worth it.
I'll tune in on this just for a second. When I see 348, I also think those are 300. I see the people, not just the numbers here. So 348 people could come and enjoy Bella Vista and its amenities. And I hope they have a warm welcome from people, and they are not considered as outsiders, because this proves that, just like many of those that voiced their grievances here this evening, that you can buy a membership and you can be a part of this, and hopefully that they feel welcomed here into this community.
I have a
David.
comment, Ruth.
David, excuse me.
This is,
David has the floor. Excuse me.
Despite some members who continually deride the POA and tell us we don't know what we're doing and nothing is right and we're just stupid idiots, 348 people in a matter of a few hours let us know that they want to be in Bella Vista. So there are people out there who see the value in Bella Vista Village.
Appreciate that. Okay, let's move on to update.
Okay, so we have an update for regarding the Trafalgar Road fire and the Stump Dumps. First of all, and I say this over and over again, but it's really important that our community continue to go to the city's website and the ADEQ website to get updates. They update that site on a regular basis. Those are the official, way to get the information. So I encourage people to look. I personally check it a couple times every single day, and I find it very helpful and useful. Going on to the Stump Dumps, not the Trafalgar Road fire Stump Dump, but the other Stump Dumps. We are still waiting on approval from ADEQ on the 3 Stump Dumps that are located inside the city. We have been told by FTN, which is the consulting company that we hired, that we're still within the time frame that ADEQ normally approves these. So they're not, they're not slow. They're not, nothing's being delayed. We're in the normal time frame. Regarding the site at Highlands, that plan was submitted earlier in the month or late last month. I do not recall the date.
Early this month.
Early this month. So it has been submitted to ADEQ for approval on how to close that site, and we're waiting on results on approval on that also. Once again, in the opinion of FTN, we're well within the normal time frame of when they would give us approval. Lastly, on March 22nd, we provided to the city a report from CTEH, which the POA hired. This full report on the air quality is available on the city's website. It's very informative. So I encourage people to go on and look up the report dated March 22nd. And I don't want to go into summarizing it because some of the information included in here is rather technical, but I do encourage everybody to look it up. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, before we go into announcements, is there anything else from the board for the good of the cause? Jerry?
I'd like to make one comment. I want to publicly compliment the Golf Committee. The reports, the inspections are, they help us in a great deal to make a further decision. So thank you for putting this together this way.
Thank you. Anything else? Okay, announcements. The second Thursday of the month is the GM meeting. The third Thursday of the month, April 18th, is the work session. It's an open meeting here at the boardroom. The next board meeting is the 25th on Thursday, the fourth Thursday of the month. And then the GM for May will be May 9th. The work session will be Tuesday, May 14th, rather than Thursday of that week. There's a conflict that week, so we've moved it to Tuesday, the work session. So please put that on your agenda ahead of time. And the annual meeting is Tuesday, May 21st at Reardon Hall at 6 o'clock, and that's when the election results will be revealed. And the regular Board of Directors meeting for May is May 23rd. There's nothing else for the cause. We stand adjourned.
Very good.
Thank you.